digital privacy, security, and freedom advocate. Please welcome Tuxsudo from Cake.
Okay, hey guys, hope you all doing well. So we're glad to sponsor Litecoin 2025. We came here last year and we first introduced MWEB and our integration into the app with you all. And it's been almost a year since we did that in Nashville, and there's been a lot of improvements since then. And we hope you all will take a look, if you haven't already, at MWEB inside Cake Wallet. So this will be partially rehashing some of the privacy features that come with using MWEB, and also somewhat of an update report on the features we have improved in our app. So first off, what exactly is MWEB? So MWEB is basically a privacy protocol that enables several privacy features that improves fungibility inherently due to those privacy features, as well as improving scalability. And it also happens to be the tongue-tying curse from Harry Potter, which is kind of a funny name there. The protocol is tongue-tied. It can't speak to the details of the transaction. How is MWEB integrated into Litecoin? So MWEB is integrated into Litecoin with what's called MWEB, which stands for the MWEB extension block. The MWEB extension block essentially combines the privacy protocol MWEB and allows it to work within Litecoin as almost like a sidechain, right? It's an extension block. It runs on the same block time as the transparent Litecoin network and allows you to go in and out of it. So MWEB has a few specific privacy features that make it really good. And each of these features on their own isn't inherently that powerful, but when you combine them together, you kind of compound your privacy gains. And all three of these things together, among with a few other things I haven't mentioned, all these privacy improvements together makes for quite a great and powerful privacy upgrade to what is traditionally a transparent blockchain. And a few of these things, which I will get into a little more detail of, the main ones I would say are confidential transactions, stealth addresses, as well as a coin join. And so to boil these down a little bit, and once again, there's lots of other things going on behind the scenes with MWEB. These are the three main ones that provide the bulk of the privacy. The confidential transactions, those essentially hides the amount that you're sending to someone. Typically within Litecoin, because it's fully transparent, if I were to send you 0.1 LTC, I want to send you around $10 US. I send you 0.1 LTC, that number is visible on the blockchain. If somebody looks up your address or my address, they can see that there was a transaction from this address to another address that was 0.1 LTC. Confidential transactions uses zero-knowledge proofs to hide the amount. And more specifically, they're using range proofs to make sure there's no funny business going on, to make sure that the amount is within a specific range so an individual can't just create Litecoin out of thin air. And the coin join attempts to hide the real sender by essentially just mixing inputs from multiple transactions. And this is an improvement. It could be improved later on. There's been some talks about improving this because CoinJoin inherently isn't the best way to do sender privacy, but it is a great improvement over nothing for sure. And then the last main one is stealth addresses. This is a really cool but simple way to prevent the issues of address reuse. So when you have MWEB turned on, you have this new address type that starts with MWEB. And this address type has a public key in it. So if I were to send 0.1 LTC to your MWEB address, my wallet, all behind the scenes, is going to take a public key from that address, and it's going to generate a unique one-time key that shows up on-chain that only you can know is yours and only you can spend from. So every time somebody sends you Litecoin to your MWEB address, it's not inherently tied to that specific MWEB address like it normally would be with transparent Litecoin. So this is really powerful for especially donations or if you want to have an address on a website, but you don't want people being able to look up that address and see exactly how much is currently in it, how much you've gotten, and where the money's gone after that. So all these privacy improvements are great, but they're not without some potential downsides and some cons, which I think for MWEB are actually pretty minor. So the main one is that it does require a bit of work on the device. It requires some on-device scanning, Now for MWEB specifically, it's actually pretty lightweight. It's actually really fast. It does require downloading around 600 megabytes of data, which is the Litecoin block headers, so it can scan through those blocks and see if any MWEB inputs belong to you. However, it is very quick, so the main downside is probably just the initial data requirement, but this is initial. Once you do the initial scan of the block headers, you only have to do the next blocks going forward, right? So if you haven't opened your wallet in the week, you might have a few thousand blocks to scan through, but if you open it once a day, you only have not that many, right? A few hundred. And then the other downside is that CoinJoin is a weaker way to do sender privacy. Once again, it is better than nothing, but it's definitely not the best, and there has definitely been talks about improving it in the future, maybe getting closer to something like Monero with ring signatures, or maybe even further beyond that. So to actually enable MWEB in Cake Wallet, so our interface has definitely improved a lot since I last showed this off, but the way to enable it's pretty much still the same. Once you create your Litecoin wallet on Cake Wallet, you'll be presented with this extra card underneath the initial Litecoin balance card, and that's just explaining you what MWEB is. It's got a link to our documentation, which explains even further. If you tap enable that, you will get that notice about it needing to download around 600 megabytes, it might be a bit more than that now, of data, which is the block headers. And once it does that, it'll go ahead and scan through the blocks. You can see in the top, it's got to scan through all the blocks. And once that's done, you're able to use MWEB. And I'd say, depending on your internet connection, it only takes around 10 to 20 minutes to initially set that up. And that's the worst part of it. After you've done that, the bulk of it's done. And the actual onboarding process for MWEB is much easier than it has been before. We've got these new buttons that say peg in and peg out, and basically what these mean is if you're pegged into MWEB, you're basically sending your transparent Litecoin into the MWEB extension block, and if you're pegged out, then you're basically taking MWEB out into the transparent Litecoin network. And this is much easier than it was before. Last year, you would have had to manually copy your MWEB address and paste it in the send screen, then put a specific amount and hope that it actually is taking the transparent Litecoin, sending it to MWEB. Now this is all handled automatically. If you tap peg in, it'll open the send screen, and you can put whatever amount you want. It's going to filter it only by your transparent Litecoin, and then you just swipe to send, and you can see it's going to your MWEB address. And just like that, you've sent some of your transparent Litecoin into the MWEB network. I do want to reiterate that you don't have to initially do that just to send to an MWEB address. This is just recommended to enhance your privacy even further, going ahead and just sending some transparent Litecoin initially into MWEB and leaving it there. And then a few other updates. We have easier onboarding like I just showed you guys. We also have the ability to use a custom node with MWEB now. Before, initially, we had our own node hard-coded into the app, but now you have the ability to use your own custom MWEB node from the settings. And you can also rescan from a specific block height. So if there was maybe an input that you think it missed or something happened to your wallet, instead of having to create a whole new wallet and restore, you can just rescan from a specific block height. And another really great improvement, unfortunately this is only on Android. You'll have to scream at Apple for making this really impossible for us. We now have a background sync feature, and this really helps to mitigate some of that scanning requirement that happens because of MWEB. Because usually if you're just using Litecoin transparently, you open the wallet app and it just connects and it's basically synchronized instantly. But with MWEB, you might have to wait just a little bit. Background sync helps mitigate that as an issue, and background sync will allow Cake Wallet to do just that, synchronize in the background. And so the idea is that when you go to open your wallet next, either it'll be fully synced or it'll be almost all the way synced and you have just a few blocks to do. And this is highly customizable. You can choose how aggressive the scheduling is for the sync. You can choose if it does it on battery, if it requires it to be charging. You can change the data requirements. And this works across pretty much all the other cryptos in the app too, as well as MWEB for Litecoin. But once again, unfortunately, it is Android only. We're trying to figure out to see if we can maybe do some weird workarounds to get to work on iOS, but that's just how Apple rolls. And I want to quickly just go over the adoption. This is really, really impressive. So last year, back when we initially announced MWEB support within Cake Wallet and we had a beta come out, there was less than around 40,000 LTC within the MWEB balance sheet totally. And then we announced MWEB, and it spiked up a bit, but since then, it's been around a year. not even a year actually, and there's almost 150,000 LTC on the MWEB balance sheet, which is huge. That's massive. That's a huge difference from last year, and that just goes to show that people are actually using MWEB. They're actually sending a lot of their transparent Litecoin into the MWEB network, and I have to think that Cake Wallet had a big impact on that, and it's really cool to see that people are actually taking advantage of this feature now and seeing this adoption, this massive adoption in volume. And then Seth for privacy talked about this a little more in depth. I was just going to mention it briefly. We did add MWEB support natively to CakePay, so now you can pay for gift cards within CakePay natively using MWEB instead of just having to send to a transparent Litecoin address. And that was all the slides I had. Feel free to scan that QR code if you would like to try out Cake Wallet. It's very simple to use and easy to use and set up. We do have a booth at the exhibitor expo area over there, so if you had any questions, feel free to come up to us. We'd love to help you, love to answer any of your questions. It works on basically all platforms, but the main ones that we support is, of course, iOS and Android, the mobile apps. But yeah, thanks guys.